I need to score 30 out of 30 on the TOEFL reading and listening sections, but I have no idea how to do it. One reason many test takers struggle with these sections is limited vocabulary. Of course, it helps to study subject-specific words like terms from biology, psychology, or astronomy, but that's not enough. After going through tons of TOEFL practice tests, I've noticed something important. There are certain general academic words that appear again and again, words that don't belong to any specific topic, but are crucial for understanding the text and answering questions correctly. So in this video, I've collected 23 of the most common academic words you'll see on the TOEFL reading and listening sections, the ones that really make a difference. Let's see how ready you are for the TOEFL test. At the end of this video, write winner in the comments if you know all the words, or tell us how many words from the list you knew. For example, 16 out of 23 or 20 out of 23. Let's get started. 1. Commodity. This word is super popular on the TOEFL, and I often see it in reading passages. What's more important? It's often necessary to answer the questions. A commodity is any useful or valuable thing, especially something that can be bought or sold, like food, clothes, or electronics. Examples: coffee, grains, or precious metals. 2. Exploit. To exploit means to use someone or something, usually selfishly or for profit. For example, factory owners can exploit their employees by making them work overtime. So, to exploit is to use something or someone unfairly for your own benefit. However, on the TOEFL, you'll often see this word used in a slightly different sense, more like to make good use of something. For example, to exploit natural resources. 3. Cultivate. The original meaning of this word is to prepare and use land for crops or gardening. So you'll often see it used in texts and lectures about agriculture. People cultivate fields, gardens, or land. But it can also mean to develop or improve something, like a skill, relationship, or talent. 4. Demise. Demise means the end of something, like a person's life, a company, or a relationship. Used in formal or legal contexts. On the TOEFL, you'll often see this word used to describe the final stage of something. For example, a reading passage might mention the demise of a company due to market failure or the demise of a relationship after years of conflict. It's one of those words that often shows up in reading passages where something important or powerful is coming to an end, so make sure you recognize it when you see it. 5. Prosperity. Another super popular word on the TOEFL that I see all the time. Prosperity usually means being successful, especially financially. For example, in the US, the decades after World War II were characterized by rising prosperity, with large numbers of people moving into the middle class. The adjective form, prosperous, is also very typical for the TOEFL reading and listening sections. It means financially successful, thriving, or doing well economically. Speaking of the word decade from the example I just gave, this is our next word. A decade is a period of 10 years. Other terms: a century is a period of 100 years, and a millennium is a period of 1,000 years. You might see it in history passages or texts discussing trends over time. By the way, if you're serious about getting a high TOEFL score, we've created an app that can really help. It's called TOEFL, and it's like having your own personal TOEFL tutor right in your pocket. Whether you're aiming for a top university or want to boost your career, this app gives you everything you need. Smart strategies, topic-based vocabulary, practice tasks, and expert tips for every section of the test. You can download it right now. The link is in the description below, or just search for TOEFL on the App Store. Next up is word number 7. Alteration. Alteration means a change or a modification. The verb to alter means to make something different. For example, altering a plan or altering a law. It's very useful for academic reading and often appears in TOEFL passages related to policy, science, or design. Remember these 3 words with similar meanings. To alter, to modify, to change. They're all essential for the TOEFL reading section. 8. Intermittently. I can't tell you how many times I see this word on the TOEFL. Intermittently is a fancy way of saying from time to time or periodically. It describes something that starts, then stops, and then starts again. If you say, "I studied intermittently last night," it means you studied sometimes, but also took breaks to do other things. 9. Another phrase with a similar meaning is off and on. For example, "I worked on the project off and on." "We visited each other off and on." So remember, intermittently means not continuously, but at intervals. 10. Extensive. For some reason, this is one of the favorite words of TOEFL creators. They use it in practically every reading passage or lecture I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot. The first and most popular meaning is covering a large area. Examples: extensive road repairs, extensive farmland, extensive reading list. It can also mean having a wide range. For example, "She has extensive knowledge of biology." The event received extensive media coverage. 11. Sophisticated. When something is sophisticated, it's complicated and intricate. The inner workings of a computer are sophisticated, difficult to understand unless you're an expert. On the TOEFL, you'll often read about sophisticated systems, sophisticated computer models, sophisticated tools used by ancient people. For instance, high school math is a lot more sophisticated than grammar school math. 12. Diverse. Diverse means very different or having variety. It's a very common word that pops up in almost every TOEFL passage. Examples: diverse wildlife, meaning many different animal species. Diverse culture, meaning people from different backgrounds and traditions. You might see it in texts about ecosystems, human society, or even food. It often appears with words like range, group, or population. TOEFL loves this word because it fits so many academic topics. 13. Abruptly. Means suddenly or without warning. Examples: the temperature dropped abruptly. She left the meeting abruptly, without explanation. Look out for it in contrastive sentence structures. It often indicates a sudden shift or unexpected result. 14. Result in. A super common TOEFL phrase that means to cause something to happen. Think of it as a cause and effect connector. High economic growth results in inflation. Lack of rain resulted in crop failure. This phrase is key for understanding logical relationships in both reading and listening passages. 15. Mild. Mild means not severe or not intense. It's often used to describe weather or climate. Mild weather, not too hot, not too cold. But TOEFL also uses it in other contexts. Mild criticism, not too harsh. Mild symptoms, not serious. Mild heart attack, less damaging than a major one. 16, 17, and 18. Drastically, dramatically, spectacularly. These three adverbs are everywhere on TOEFL, and they often mean extremely or by a large amount. Examples: the budget was drastically reduced. Reduced a lot. The conflict changed dramatically. Changed significantly. The experiment failed spectacularly. Failed in a very noticeable way. All three are common in both reading and listening, describing change, decline, failure, or success. You'll often see them in comparison or contrast structures. 19. Tolerate. To tolerate means to accept or put up with something unpleasant. You can tolerate a person, behavior, or a situation. Examples: some people don't tolerate rude behavior. I can't tolerate loud noises while studying. 20. Threat. A threat is an impending danger, something that may cause serious harm. TOEFL texts love to talk about threats. Health threats like new diseases. Environmental threats like pollution or habitat loss. Military or political threats. A very common collocation is imminent threat, meaning a threat that's about to happen. Look for this word in both reading and listening when describing risks or dangers. 21. Decline. Decline means to decrease or get worse, in quantity, quality, strength, or status. Examples: the population of the species is in decline. There was a decline in business activity after the recession. You'll see it in economic, historical, or environmental passages. Also used in phrases like a steady decline, a sharp decline, or a gradual decline. 22. Coerce. To coerce means to force someone to do something against their will. Example: he was coerced into signing the agreement. They coerced a confession from the suspect. On the TOEFL, it may appear in readings about social pressure, government actions, or historical conflicts. 23. Retreat. To retreat means to move away from something, usually danger, pressure, or conflict. But TOEFL uses it in many different contexts. Examples: lizards retreat into the shade to escape heat. A company's stock may retreat after a poor earnings report. A person retreats emotionally during an argument. It even appears in integrated speaking questions. For example, a psychology term where a person retreats from social interaction. So, expect to see this word in many contexts. These were the 23 essential words that will definitely help you tackle the TOEFL reading and listening sections. And as you've probably noticed, many of them can also be used in your speaking and writing responses, so be sure to review and practice them regularly. Let us know in the comments how many words you already knew, for example, 17 out of 23. If you want to master all 4 sections of the TOEFL exam and get a great score on test day, make sure to check out the link in the description below. It'll take you to our TOEFL Prep app, where you'll find vocabulary lists, practice questions, strategies, and more. And of course, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a new video. Bye!